Welcome to the Rockhound Podcast. This week we have a returning guest from outer space. Well, not really outer space, but take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm back. I'm Dr. Caitlin Ahrens from NASA Goddard Space Flight Center out here in Maryland, and happy to be back.
Welcome back.
So good to have you back, Caitlin. So excited to get into some of the wonderful space talk that we missed last time that you were here and going beyond, of course. Hey, and thank all of you for tuning in today from your cars and from your rock hounding spots and wherever you might be. Go ahead and leave that in the comments so that we know. And I am Karen from Ozone Fine Art Ventures from Oregon. And who are you this week?
I'm tired, man, and my channel is The Pursuit of Sleep.
Welcome, tired man. Thank you for joining us. It's a stretch, yeah.
And of course, I'm Mild Kyle with World of Rockhounds. Let's keep the name alive. And that's our intro. So let's go ahead and get into how everyone's week was. And
did you want shouts?
Oh yeah, shouts. So I'm sorry.
Real quick. Let me shout really bad, and then okay, we'll be out of here. So special thanks to Mary Beth and everyone who's joined us in the live chat last week, aka the Nerd Club. For that last podcast, there was a request for us to open up a Discord server. We're working on that. Look for the Rockhound Roundtable. It might actually be flying around there right now. Not sure. I haven't had a chance to check it, but you can go check that out if you're one of those people that requested us to open the Discord group. If you're one of those folks that doesn't do Facebook or prefers a different venue. We're still gathering the beautiful scores for our next viewer show and tell. So send them, not them actually, but just the pictures. You don't have to part with your
could.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we'll change the address to Theo.
I'm good with it.
But if you want to send nice pictures to rockhoundroundtable@gmail.com, or that's going to be in the comments as well, or not the comments, you know, the
one thing
down there, that thing. The thing down there with a description also of your find or a story of that would be great. And we're happy to announce that Jared from Currently Rockhounding is going to be on next week. So if you have any questions for him, anything that you'd like for him to discuss, go ahead and leave that down in the comments as well. Or you can send that to the rockhoundroundtable@gmail.com address as well. It'll be a mineral identification type jam, kind of like the bugs of assault. So if you want to catch up, go watch that podcast that we did a few podcasts ago. And as always, tell a friend, or as Theo recommended, anybody about
anyone.
The podcast.
Just strangers on the street. Stop them and tell them.
Those are the shouts.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karen.
Now, how the heck is everybody's week going, Caitlin?
Week was busy. Very, very. And it's been a busy summer, actually, ever since we got those 3 Venus missions approved from NASA, and also Envision from the European Space Agency. So a lot of international collaborations are kicking up, which means a lot of different time zones for me.
Oh man,
that's rough.
Kind of commiserate because we've been trying to hit like Lithuania, Australia, and Germany, you know, and even just the East Coast. And we're like, there's not.
I mean, even me, I'm in one different time zone, and that's hard for me sometimes. I'm only an hour behind you guys.
Good on you, Caitlin. So, what are your projects that you're working on?
Oh goodness. So current projects is that we're gearing up for more exciting mapping on the moon. I'm finishing up a cool Ganymede book chapter for a Ganymede textbook that's going to be coming out. And I just finished up with some Mars volcanism chapters for a Mars volcanism book that is coming out as well. So I've been working on a lot of textbook type things recently, and going to be teaching a class at the local community college here very soon. So I'm gearing up to get that curriculum up and ready. So
you were getting those community college people ready for the Mars mission. Is that what you're doing?
Hey, that's my goal.
It's a community college course, like building a sandwich on Mars. No.
Hey, but he's on Mars, it can work.
But it was interesting hearing what you were actually doing over at the community college. You were talking about missions.
Yes, that's the class I'll be teaching. I don't remember the main title of it because it was between me and the department head switching back and forth between how to make the course name snazzy. So I honestly don't remember my own class name, and I need to make the syllabus this weekend. So we're gonna find out. I'll learn together. But I think it's really important for community colleges to really have a say in planetary science, though it's not offered that much, and so I love helping community colleges when I can. So it's very fascinating to get to that level, and so the class I'll be teaching is how does a planetary mission form? We're going to kind of go behind the scenes on how we do storyboarding with missions, how they're built over time, how do we check and build the instruments for certain missions, the differences between an orbiter, a lander, and a rover, and all in the course of 4 days. So
that's
it's
so cool.
4-day course. So
where do we go? Where do we go to that? I'm going to come take your class. That's awesome. So is that the predominant amount of projects that you've got juggling, spinning your plates at this time on a tricycle, or do you have some more?
That's just a month.
Right.
In October. So that's my project for August and September. And then October, maybe switching over to Venus a little bit. I have some collaborators that wants to do some volcanism on Venus for a little bit. Oh goodness, the last month I did some Ceres asteroid work. I had an intern over the summer. He did fantastic work. So yeah, I'm everywhere in the solar system.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it sounded like the tip of the Plutonian iceberg, as it were.
Oh, Pluto. Oh, I can't work on Pluto until like November or December. That's my project planet. So I'll get to Pluto later.
It's out there. It takes a while, so I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to plan for it in advance.
Nice. Yeah, so my week was busy, baby ducks and little puppy, and lots of fun there, but I probably don't even need to say no more about that. Actually, I have words of wisdom that are spawned of it. You can stay tuned for that at the end of you can only imagine. Let's see, I got to I was so happy to be part of 2 collabs with members of this podcast in the last week, which was so crazy. Yeah, it's true. And so Kurt had his unboxing of the jewelry, which actually surprised me. I didn't know he was going to do that exactly. I didn't figure, it was just like a little box. And then Kyle did his concretion video. And I swear that never gets old. I was like sitting, he's like breaking open the concretions from the beach. Like we're all going to see what he's got. And I mean, it was super exciting, even though I get to crack my own. That was so good, Kyle. So
it broke super fast too. I wasn't expecting to crack that fast, and it did. I'm like, oh, okay, this won't take that long.
Well, it was from Ochiko licking it so much when it was sitting in here. I think
he softened it. It was pre-softened.
He was seriously going for it on that thing. So like that was, yeah, you did an awesome job with all of those, and those pectins were insane. So if you haven't seen that, go check that out. Right now I'm working on a video about fossil leaves and the trip that we went out and got little Ochiko. That should drop sometime this weekend, willing that, you know, Theo and I get any sleep whatsoever.
It'll happen one day.
And I might.
It's kind of a fantasy at this point.
So if I look bonkers during the video, you know why. So yeah, I think that's pretty much what I had on the docket. Yeah, and Theo, what about you?
It's been madness. It's been actual madness the past 2 weeks, which I don't know if you guys noticed. You being viewers, I guess you guys too. I don't know if you noticed this, but I actually wasn't here last week.
Well, you were and you weren't.
Was it?
I pretended to be you for like 5 seconds.
Did you really? Ah, so I was in spirit, I guess. We'll just say I possessed you for a little bit. Anyway, though, I was gone because I have been working like crazy on the podcast. What? No, I wasn't. That's why I was gone. Anyway, I've been working like crazy on the Ren Fest, which I got the news of day before yesterday that it got canceled. So
boo.
All of my late nights and like probably hundreds of hours at this point is pointless. So whatever, I guess, but we'll power on. And we actually got news that there's another event happening, so at least I can, you know, keep preparing for that, because that one's not getting canceled, but still that other one hurt really bad. But anyway, other than that, in happy news, figured I'd get the bad out of the way first. But in happier news,
do you get to wear your full chain mail in this other one?
No, it's not. It's just I don't remember what kind of event, but it's being held by the same people. I know. Trust me, because I didn't record last year. They didn't do it, and then the year before, my channel was really tiny, so I didn't even think to make a video about it. But yeah, it'll happen. It'll happen. I hope at some point in the future. But I don't think this one is like Ren Fair affiliated. I don't know. It might be. I have to do more homework. We just got that email like 5 minutes before this started, so I haven't done any homework yet. But in happier news, on Monday was my birthday.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
So for my birthday, actually, and we're recording this Thursday, which is the 26th. Tomorrow, being the 27th, is Alexis and I's 10-year anniversary.
10 years! Wow, awesome.
Yeah,
that's funny that you mentioned that, because Amy and I's 10 years of being together was the 22nd.
That's actually really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about end of August, because my sister and her husband, their anniversary is the 25th. So I don't know. August is a good time to find your loved one, I guess. Anyway, we took a trip to South Dakota, which is awesome, and I have been dying to get over there for quite some time. And it was like 4 we'll call it 4 days of pretty much nonstop rock hunting, which was amazing. We went to TP Canyon, where we found red, white, and pink fortification agates, which I did bring for show and tell. We went out to the prairies in the Badlands outside of Rapid City, and we looked for chalcedony roses coated in druzy that are amazing, and prairie agates and jaspers, and a bunch of baculites and clam fossils. It was awesome. It was wonderful. And then we went throughout the Black Hills in the areas you're allowed to hunt, obviously, and got a bunch of pegmatite material that was filled with it's so cool. So you'll get like hot pink feldspar crystals that are conjoined with just hot pink rose quartz, and then in the middle of those rocks are just like huge black tourmaline crystals.
Get out of here.
And they're a man. I brought one for show and tell as well. I brought tiny teasers because each one of those hunts is going to be its own video. So I'm bringing teasers. You don't get to see the crazy ones. I will say, though, one of the nicest agates I've ever seen. We got a Teepee Canyon this time. And I didn't bring it with, but you guys aren't even... Oh, you got to see it. It's crazy. It's actual madness.
We do got to see it. And
It's
you didn't
crazy.
bring it along?
No, I didn't. I can't ruin all the secrets.
Oh,
And then
it was too big for you to play with during the podcast. So you left it.
It's no, actually, I've mentioned this to I think a few times on the podcast. They know, but I actually am doing something off camera at all times. It's actually what keeps me focused because I get super distracted when I'm tired. So I have to have something in my hands to mess around with. So I'm actually whittling today. And I'm not joking at all. I've been whittling this whole time. So I'll show you my progress at the end of the podcast.
It's better than you lacerating yourself on obsidian.
Yeah, I cut myself on an arrowhead that I made last time. That was fun.
Yeah.
It did. Other than that, other big news. This will be coming out Friday, so Saturday. Awesome video coming out. And that has absolutely nothing to do with my South Dakota trip. Like, big deal. It's been going, like, working on for, like, months at this point, and it's amazing. You guys got to see it. It's going to be awesome.
Ooh, with a build-up like that? And we have
big
to
build-up.
We have to wait until tomorrow? Because
at 10 a.m.?
Yeah.
He came over to my house. We played jump rope. It was a good time.
You gotta see it.
It was epic. Epic double dutch.
Can you top that, Kyle?
I don't think I can.
I had a busy week.
Excuse me. I guess I had a slightly busy-ish week. I was challenged on TikTok to polish something green, and so naturally I picked Fire Obsidian, and that was a cool video. And then I decided to do another video because I was out in the backyard. I'm like, man, it'd be really cool if I can do something silly for like to switch it up a little bit. And I was reminded of a Monty Python skit where they're like, if you look at this picture, there's one person hiding and you cannot see him. And so I did a little skit. I put both videos, both on YouTube and also on TikTok. The TikTok version, the skit got more views than the Fire Obsidian did. And I'm like, really?
I don't doubt that at all.
Yeah.
It's
a different clientele.
Yeah, the Fire Obsidian.
It really is.
The Fire Obsidian had like a few hundred, and the skit itself had like well over 1,000. Oh. And I'm like, well, at least it was funny enough for people to watch that more. So I was like, there's that.
It's a positive. That was funny. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Where is he going to be? Yeah.
I think my worst is like behind the camera. I'm like, nope. Of course, I didn't have the kind of budget to make things explode, or gunshots, and I'd be like, and then fall down.
Well, after your Fire Obsidian play button video, I mean, we're all expecting some pyrotechnics or something.
Yeah, I might have to redo that one because I thought for sure that video would take off and it didn't. So maybe in the future I might have to do an updated version on that. But I am, like I said, I am still working on getting. I think next week's video will be like how I made the play button, and I know some people might not care for it too much, but almost like maybe like 90% of the video is like sped up, like fast forward, because I'm not gonna sit there with 4 hours worth of footage and allow that to play on YouTube.
Hey, I mean that's how all my projects are.
Yeah,
every one of my project videos is a time lapse. It's not like. I mean, some of them I couldn't do that.
Yeah, and then I think other than that, just doing some projects here and there, try to get them done. I announced on one of my rock hounding groups that I have that I'm going to be offering cutting and polishing classes, and try to get more into doing some stuff here at home so I can have more of get a business going, get it running. Because it would be cool at some point down the road in the future to work towards doing it full time somehow.
If you want to learn from the best and you're in the area.
I was gonna say, do friends get in for free?
I'll give friends discounts.
Depends on what rocks you bring, I bet.
Yeah, I did mention no obsidian because
oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because I'm charging $50 a class, and that's an hour and a half at least worth of time, and also apply the rock. People
that's a bargain, by the way.
And if people want to bring their own rocks to work on, that's fine too. I currently prefer to only work like one-on-one. That way, that whoever I'm teaching is getting all my time, and I'm not being distracted. Because sometimes you take a class from if there's a rock shop or rock studio that has a storefront and they offer classes, sometimes they have to split their time between teaching classes and watching the front. And sometimes they get a little distracting. So I plan on focusing my entire time on whoever I'm teaching the class to. And I also want to, if anyone from my rock groups are watching this, it's not just cutting and polishing. If you want to do a cab too, that's the same. I can show you how to do a cab. It's easy. So yeah, I got a couple class. I got one class lined up for sure next week, so I'm excited for that. And got a bunch of other people that were interested in it, and so we'll see if it takes off. It would be cool though if someday down the road I can afford a separate shop to get more equipment, and then at that point I would be able to offer shop time usage. But for now, it's just classes. As much as I would love to offer shop time usage, it's just classes.
Well, it's insane how many places have been on limited or absolute lockdown lately, and have closed, completely. So it's really cool that you're offering this, and it'd be wonderful to see more of this kind of thing where you're getting some instruction. So many people have a hunger to get into it, especially now that a lot of people have a little bit more home time at their disposal that they can, pursue the hobby. So I think it's great that you're able to do that. Definitely trying to get the word out there.
And I want to do this like right before the pandemic started. I was considering starting this up, but like once it started, I'm like, I don't know if it's a good idea. And then things started to lighten up a little bit here as far as like restrictions and everything else. I'm like, okay, maybe I can start delving into it. And then of course they slapped us with another mask mandate. And I'm like, if I keep holding off on this, it's just never going to happen. Like I can just tell people like, look, we're just going to follow guidelines, just, protect us both. I'm vaccinated. And just be safe. Everyone wants to wear masks. And
well, you got to wear masks a fair amount of the time anyway.
Yeah.
So, it's actually good practice, and, get to learn something really, really special. Even if it's somebody who's a layperson that wants to polish themselves, something that they found, say, over at Richardson's Rock Ranch or over at the old Hollywood Ranch that is now, what do they call that now?
The old Marker Ranch.
Marker Ranch. There's so many things like locally that people are able to find their cool scores that they could come and they could hit your studio and have something that's a memento that they can keep. So, that makes total sense.
And the thing is too, like, sometimes when you're like learning to cut and polish, it can sometimes only take a few minutes like to really like get everything down. And some people learn faster than others. So if you like get it within like 15 minutes, I'm not gonna be like, okay, you've learned it, out the door you go. I'm gonna be like, oh, if you learn this in 15 minutes, you still have an hour and 50 minutes of my time. So have fun. Like I don't care. You paid for the time. You might as well use it. So I am excited for that aspect of things. And then at some point I will openly offer cutting and polishing services too. So right now it's just baby steps, and that's kind of future projects, I guess. So that's mine. Other than that, anything else before we go on to start asking out of these world questions?
I
get at least one dad joke in there, kind of. Sort of.
All right, yeah, like quota met.
I'm sure there'll be more. Well, now one more. Caitlin's shirt is out of this world.
Yep, it is. So, truly.
Okay, met my quota.
There you go.
So, questions. Who wants to start off?
I'll do it. Actually, so I usually ask a pretty down to earth question first, just to get a soft open for the viewer so that their socks aren't blown off right from the get go. We gotta ramp it up slow. But I was wondering, I don't think we covered last time how much rock hounding you get to do on terra firma. Like, I know you have an interest.
I do have an interest. Right now it's more of a hobby than anything. So I mean, and that's actually how I ended up listening to this podcast before even I guessed. So it was like, rock hounding nerds, yay! I'll totally listen to this, listening to podcasts while working. And so very much a hobby now. I don't obviously not as much traveling nowadays. But I have gone to at least South Dakota, Wyoming, Montana, quite a bit of rock hounding in Arizona. I had an opportunity in New Mexico and missed it, so I missed that very much. A little bit of rock hounding in Arkansas, so a lot of nice quartz, the nice quartz clusters down there. Most of my rock hounding is from West Virginia, which is where I'm from. So got to do rock hounding in your home state kind of deal. So that's always fun. Yeah, some fun adventures. Most of my rock hounding experiences, though, whereas from my geology degree, I got my geology degree from West Virginia University. And so we had field camp going out to Wyoming and Montana. So it was mostly mapping and surveying, but while you're there, you might as well have fun with rock hounding as long as you try to avoid the rattlesnakes.
Indeed. What would you say your favorite material? I mean, I know it's hard to choose, but from all of that spanning around, is there like the glory material that you just love, or is it?
Oh man! Oh no! Oh no! It's like trying to pick a favorite rock
or planet or something. That's not fair.
Oh my goodness! When Tired Man was talking about South, hey, you know what? That's your nickname for the night. I'm sticking with it.
Oh, it will be. That's fine.
But when you were talking about South Dakota, it really took me back, and it was like, oh yeah, the Black Hills.
Love South Dakota.
Gorgeous rocks, and I legitimately didn't think South Dakota had like that much to offer, and I was happily surprised. So South Dakota was, I think, the nice surprise out of everybody. Yeah. So between that and maybe some like pretty agates in like the southern Arkansas, northern Texas area, Texarkana. That would probably be my favorite parts. As far as scenery goes, nothing can beat Wyoming. Wyoming is such a beautiful state.
Right.
Love Wyoming.
Yeah. But Wyoming was gorgeous though. But I'm also a West Virginian forever and always. So can't say too much bad stuff about West Virginia too. So West Virginia has some really pretty rocks and mountains.
Right on.
Nice.
I know that was a total curveball. You can't ask somebody their favorite movie or band or something like that.
Like my favorite rock. Oh no.
All of them.
Yes. Montana, however, was probably the roughest state for me because I had a couple run-ins with some rattlesnakes. One nearly bit me. That was fun. And I have a couple scars actually from Montana. So if anything, Montana was not a pleasant state for me.
Yeah, that sounds about right. As a born and raised Montanan, I can confirm that that's just an average day rock hunt. You get so callous that you could probably get stabbed with a sword and it would just bounce off. It's like, what?
Your chainmail outfit is your skin.
Yeah, I if you watch my videos closely, you will see new cuts and scrapes and bruises on my arms and hands like every single video. And that probably has more to do with how reckless I am than Montana, but I mean, it's worth mentioning.
Hey, you know what? Kind of did a number on me, so it was pretty much lasted, and yeah.
It's gorgeous, but there's also an air of Montana scenery that just says, "Be careful around me." It is beautiful, but it's exactly around every corner, depending on where you are.
I'm gonna start a special scab count of Theo Kellison's videos. Yeah, or scar count.
Dude, there's probably a lot, especially from the trip. I guess that doesn't count completely though, because those are South Dakota scars. Those aren't Montana scars, but I cut my finger wide open on a piece of rose quartz that wouldn't come out of the ground. So I'm wondering if it's more of just a me thing than a Montana thing.
Both. We'll go with both.
And then I didn't realize that I had done it. Like, just big old gash on my thumb, and I didn't realize I had done it. And then I used hand sanitizer. It hurts so bad.
It does. It hurts now.
We literally had to like pull over so I could use my battery powered spray bottle that I use for rock hunting, and like just sprayed all the alcohol out because it hurts so bad.
At least it was sanitized.
Yeah. Oh, it was super disinfected.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Any bacteria as well as any blood cells or beneficial stuff was all dead. Just ghost town inside that thumb.
Ouch.
Don't do this at home, okay?
Yeah, learn from my mistakes. Viewers at home, don't do what Theo does.
Don't do it, kids.
Because Theo leaps without looking.
Tired Man, do you have a question?
I do. One sec. We got a question from Geo Rock Nerd, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Any question?
I gotta find it. It's going to require some scrolling. I know it's in here. There it is. I found it. So she says, I had a question about Mars, actually. I remember in school learning that Olympus Mons was able to grow so large because there weren't plate tectonics on Mars, possibly due to the lack of oceans, ? So the volcano just kept growing while the hotspot was active. Is this still the going hypothesis?
Yes, it is actually still the going hypothesis. So what's weird is that now we're becoming a large question here of why is Earth now considered the only planet with plate tectonics? And so basics of plate tectonics, we have our continents, we have our ocean crust, and it's constantly moving around, and we have volcanoes and earthquakes. We have a very dynamic planet because we have a very dynamic core, mantle, crust, and plates moving around. And so we're now realizing, well, Venus may or may not have had tectonic plates, and Mars may or may not have had tectonic plates. And so with Mars, currently, if it did, then it didn't last long, and then all the plates would have just kind of fused together. And so with the volcanic systems, how volcanic systems work here on Earth, let's take Hawaii, for example, because it's a fun example here, is that you have a mantle and crust constantly moving. So your little hot spot of a straw is just constantly just bubbling up all of that lava into that one hot spot. So crust moves over, that hot spot just keeps going. Out pops a little volcano, crust moves over, boop, there goes another volcano and another volcano and another volcano. And there we go. But with Mars, when you have that hot spot in a straw of magma coming up through the straw, and no plate is moving, it's just going to keep building and building and building and building. Now, there are volcanoes on Mars that have a beautiful alignment, and those volcanic systems may have had, and not instead of just like there's a volcano, there's a volcano, there's a volcano, but instead just one giant magma chamber with multiple straws popping out. So that's a theory as well. Some people do believe in Mars would have had plate tectonics at one point, so that straw would have moved and created maybe like the smaller volcanoes and then just stayed put and created Olympus Mons. And so for those of you who don't know about Olympus Mons is not only the largest volcano on Mars, it is also the largest volcano in the entire solar system. And I will show you with props just how big Olympus Mons is. I was ready.
Excited.
So sticky notepad here. So let's take the sticky notepad to be the size of Mount St. Helens. Tiny Mount St. Helens. Mount Everest would be this book. All right. Olympus Mons. You're gonna judge me for having this in my home office, but if this is Mount Everest, Olympus Mons is this pillow.
Theo likes your home office.
No,
yeah, no judgment at all. Sleepy guy approved.
Yeah. But it's amazing how you would have, Mount St. Helens versus Olympus Mons size, and Olympus Mons can swallow the state of Arizona.
Wow.
It's absolutely humongous, and it's weirdly shaped. It's gorgeous pictures. I shall send you a picture so then you can pop it up on the screen.
Right here,
Olympus Mons. There it is.
It's
a beautiful volcano.
Is it made of the sticky is it more rhyolite andesite type stuff, or is it like basalt also? I mean, because it seems to be holding its shape and everything. It's not like runny go all over the place. Like, do we know about that?
Yes, so we do realize that it is very similar to Hawaiian and Icelandic volcanoes, so very much basaltic. With Olympus Mons, and a lot of the volcanoes in the area are called the Tharsis region. So the Tharsis volcanoes are very much basaltic. Now there are some like little itty bitty volcanoes. There's also a type of volcano called a highland pateri. Those are very runny. Those are very rhyolite and acidic, lighter materials on those volcanic systems.
Awesome. Thanks. Next.
Oh, wait. No, you're next, right?
Actually, do you want to do the follow-up question for Narendra?
Yeah, because she sent 2 questions, so I figured.
Oh, yeah, I can do the follow-up one.
It's a 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
Wow. Lightning round.
Let's go.
He's got the
Define Mars.
Okay, so let's see if I can do this one take here. I was definitely wondering about the structures / tectonics on Mars. Is there evidence of faults / earthquakes?
Yes. All right. I'm ready for this. So we do call them Marsquakes. Yes, so there are a lot of fault systems. Now, not in the sense of like San Andreas, very large, and you can like really see the bendy structure of San Andreas or anything like that. Not to that extent. There are some neat smaller faults where you can see where the rock would have shifted, but they don't extend very long, and there's not like deep gash or anything to that extent. But having different kinds of fault systems, yes. Have they all been connected somehow? To be determined. But yes, there are Marsquakes on Mars. We were able to have this with the Mars InSight lander. I got to Mars in 2018. And we've had an interesting experience with the Mars InSight lander. So when I mean lander, I mean it's staying put. It's not roving around and exploring or anything. It is staying put.
It's a homer. Yeah.
It's right there. But the seismic instrument called SIZE.
Awesome.
So we're like,
that took time.
I love acronyms with NASA though, but SIZE is the seismic experiment for interior structure.
We'll take
again. Gotta love acronyms with NASA, and it keeps changing. But this size instrument, I finally confirmed Marsquakes between 3 to 4 magnitude, or comparative to Earth magnitude, earthquake magnitude, 3 to 4 magnitude. So it's been very entertaining, but they found over 700 Marsquakes thus far, and have now figured out a couple interesting things about the interior of Mars, because we just assumed we now know what the interior of Earth looks like through earthquakes. We now know like how big our core is, how thick our mantle is, and then how thick our crust is through earthquakes. We just also kind of assumed that Mercury, Venus, and Mars were all rocky planets here. Of course, we all form the same way. Nope. And so Mars, we now realize with Mars Insight that the crust is much thinner than we thought, and the core is much larger than we thought. So we overestimated and underestimated on the crust and the core. But now that we have those Marsquakes, we were able to figure out like, oh, this is what the interior of Mars looks like. Interesting.
That's fascinating that there isn't
so cool.
a planetary recipe. You know, that it's not like, yeah, you know, you've got vanilla, chocolate, sugar, milk, flour, you know, like, nope. You know, there's some of them are made with pepper and garlic and other things.
I love that you said that. I have to kind of branch out real quick. I had a lecture to the oh goodness. My recent lecture with the Carnegie Space Institute. I compared different icy planetary bodies to flavors of ice cream.
Yes.
And it went swimmingly. And for those of you who want to know more about that, Pluto I had as Neapolitan, because you got your strawberry chocolate and vanilla. So
yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome. That makes my heart warm.
I appreciate the Pluto love.
Yes.
Always got to have the love.
Yeah.
You know, and of course you've got, you know, like your sorbets and your offshoots, I'm sure, and whatnot. Like,
oh goodness, I didn't get that much into the weeds. It was just, which icy moon would be better with pralines and cream? We're gonna go that with Triton. Which one would be salted caramel? That would be Enceladus.
And Phobos would be best with an espresso, I think.
Just do literally the whole 23 range of Baskin Robbins.
Oh my God.
All I want to know is which one is wild and reckless sherbet.
Oh no! You know what, Miranda? That's a very weird moon of Uranus.
I'm gonna have to do some homework now.
Yeah.
That's like an album title right there.
Honestly, my nerddom is showing, because I heard that Miranda and I was instantly like, oh, Firefly.
Oh.
I hope someone else knows what I'm referring to, because I'm going to feel so alone if it's just
all by myself.
Sing, but thank you so much, Kyle. So I think that's awesome, and thank you, Gia Rock Nerd, for asking those questions. Go ahead.
There's still that last part of that question. I mean,
okay.
Rip
it.
I mean,
there's more.
Yeah, you did kind of cover a little bit of the Mars core, but she also said, also wondering about the core of Mars. It used to be thought that it was all solid, but I've seen more recent info suggesting that it's likely partially molten still. Is there more recent data on that?
Yeah, so the term partially molten is still a very vague term for us geologists, because what is considered partial? Are we talking like half melted popsicle, partial, or
how does this work with ice cream? Yeah.
How does this work with metals of different densities and different heat. Mars is very cold because it's no longer active. So what's considered, what's the goop level here going on with partial melted? So back to insight. Not only did we figure out that the core is much larger than we thought, we also realized it's much lighter than we thought too. So it's actually quite squishy. It's a very squishy core. So yes,
like a marshmallow.
It does
or a jellyfish.
The nice stress ball core of Mars. But because of that, we now realize, oh, it's not just all this iron that Earth would have. Earth has a lot of iron in the center of it. And that's why we have a relatively tiny inner core, because all the iron gets sucked right into the center of the planet. But with Mars, if the core is much larger, that means iron didn't suck right into the center of it as much as we thought. Instead, it kind of went buoyant with much lighter material. So most of this material would be oxygen and sulfur type material, type elements.
Wow.
So the stress ball squishy Mars.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And not a tasty ice cream with the sulfur.
Oh, well.
I'm still there.
Banana flavored ice cream.
So I was wondering, so there's rumor has it that one of the moons of Mars is on an impact course. Run for your lives. And coincidentally, the name Phobos is derived from the Greek word fear. So that actually works. And so Phobos is supposed to collide in a short 50 million years with Mars. And so I had the question of, have we seen this kind of episode play out on any other planets, moons in the solar system? I don't know if you want to take it from there, but also do we know what the moon Phobos is made of? And do we have ideas on how this will change the geology of Mars, or that we have evidence that Mars has eaten any other moons? So
fantastic question. So Phobos and its other moon is Deimos. So Phobos and Deimos are what's considered captured moons. So they're not natural moons of Mars, whereas our moon is considered a natural satellite of Earth. Mercury and Venus don't have moons, but Mars has these two fake moons. They're captured moons from the asteroid belt. Now, where from the asteroid belt they would have originated from is still theoretical at this point, but we do know that they're not within the neighborhood of Mars. Mars at one point, as it was still a baby planet, everything was still flying around and everything, I would have captured these two itty bitty asteroids, whether they liked it or not. So there's many captured objects in the solar system, so this is nothing new to us. But what's interesting is that Phobos and Deimos are so different in their spacing that Deimos is actually the safe moon right now. It's just far enough away from Mars that Mars is actually pushing it away. So Deimos is actually moving away and is not going to get destroyed. Phobos, on the other hand, is just kind of like, oops, it got a little too close to Mars. And what happens is when you get too close to your parent planet, is that you start to go into what's called retrograde, which means you're spinning into your planet. And what's going to happen, though, is that there's going to be a breaking point. It's going to go so fast into its orbit around Mars that as it hits that limit, which we call the Roche limit, this Roche limit is definitely like the gravity breaking point of objects. As soon as it hits that Roche limit, X amount of miles above the surface of Mars, Phobos is going to break apart very rapidly. It's going to form a ring of debris. So Mars is actually going to have a ring at some point. It's not going to last long, but then that ring of debris is then just going to start falling inward onto the surface of Mars and just splash.
Like meteorite heaven for those guys.
Yeah, exactly. But 50 million years don't set it on your calendar anytime soon, because goodness gracious, who knows what level of iPhone we're going to have by then. These things are just so tiny though. So Phobos is just under 14 miles large, so tiny. Deimos is even smaller at just under 8 miles.
How cute!
So very tiny, very, very tiny moons. Yeah, so poor Phobos is going to get destroyed. I'm going to answer your question of what they're made of before diverging into have we seen this before. So we kind of know what they're made out of. There are mineral cameras going around Mars, and sometimes the moons decide to kind of photobomb our cameras at times. And so when our mineral cameras are on and we're taking really pretty mineral pictures of Mars, all of a sudden a moon will pop up and go like, well, okay, cool. We didn't want it, but we got it. So yeah, we have somewhat of some like very fuzzy mineral pictures of these moons. So there's a lot of olivine, which we have here on Earth. It's olivine and what's called carbonaceous chondrite material. So carbonaceous chondrite material is a bulk of asteroid belt material. You have graphite, carbon type minerals, serpentine is also part of that mineral family as well. So yes, there is serpentine, olivine, and maybe a little bit of graphite on Phobos and Deimos. So hooray, we have a little bit of mineral mapping going on there.
Quick question about so typically on Earth, it takes water to make the green stones, right? Like the serpentinite and whatnot. So how did we get those there? Do you know?
Yes. So that's
a bad question.
A wonderful question that spans across all sorts of planetary sciences, because where would the water have been at the asteroid belt? How is water still being retained with these captured moons? And supposedly there may be some like dead water, past water signatures inside of the moons, inside of the asteroids. So water can't survive on the surface of the asteroids, but maybe under the surface, into the regolith, into the soil. And we see this with regular asteroids too. So it's not that far of the imagination, but where did the water come from? How has it survived all these millions of years is still being researched right now. And then how much water is spanned across these different kinds of asteroids. Carbonaceous chondrite is just one type. There's also achondrites. There's metallic types. Oh goodness, there's so many types. And then there's subcategories too, because you have C, which is carbonaceous, and then you have CH, which means high metal. There's CL for low metal, but then there's C1, 2, and 3, and I don't remember what those are. And, 7 subcategories just within C.
Sorry about that little tangent. So fascinating.
It's wild for people who study asteroids and meteorites. It's a whole thing. But yes, exactly. So having serpentinite type minerals, or if anybody's a fan of lizardite minerals, that's of the serpentine mineral family as well. It would have had some sort of water hydration origin. But yeah, that's still being researched. Who knows if we're going to get an answer though, but there's going to be 2 asteroid missions coming up. One is called Lucy and the other one is called Psyche. So maybe they'll help. At least Lucy. The Lucy mission is going to help with primordial origins of asteroids. The Psyche mission is going to the asteroid Psyche. How about that? It's not an acronym this time. Lucy is not an acronym either, so we get a break from acronyms at the moment. But it's going to go to a very metal-rich metal-rich asteroid to figure out why Psyche, the asteroid, is so heavy. It is a bunch of metal on this asteroid. So
wow. Yeah, rock on.
That's heavy, man.
It is. Totally. Oh man. Oh yeah. So back to your other question of if we've seen this on other planets and moons and whatnot. Kind of. On Mars, there may be some hints that bits and pieces of asteroids would have kind of gone and exploded into Mars's thin atmosphere and just kind of trickled and had like a little impact trail. We see this a little bit at Ganymede. You see like little impact trails here and there. But the most dynamic that we have seen was with the Shoemaker-Levy comet. So this was back in the early 90s. Shoemaker-Levy comet, Shoemaker-Levy 9 comet was coming right at us, and all the telescopes were pointing right at the comet, and it was like watching a very, very, very slow baseball game where the commentation was very slow, where it was just like, and the comet made it past Saturn.
Bottom of the ninth. Yeah.
Still at Saturn, ladies and gentlemen, it's coming toward the home stretch now, and a couple months later, hey, and it went past Saturn, now it's coming toward Jupiter, folks. It's like the slowest, boring baseball game you've ever had.
I mean, I'm probably going to offend some people, but that's how every baseball game feels to me.
Yeah, that was my attempt at a Harry Carey.
I'm sorry.
No, so it got to Jupiter, and all the telescopes were still looking at this comet because, you know, back in the early 90s, we were still trying to figure out what the whole comets even were. And this was a really big comet, and we were plotting out its orbit at the time. And we're like, oh, it's going to come really close to Earth. This is going to be amazing. Oh my goodness, let's plot it out. And all telescopes, all eyes on this comet. And it gets to Jupiter, and then it was no longer at Jupiter. Just, and everybody's like, hang on, what just happened? Oh, what just happened? And what we were witnessing was that Jupiter decided to eat the comet.
Yeah.
What it did was the gravity field around Jupiter was much larger than we thought. And so its gravity at Jupiter truly just tore this poor comet to pieces. Absolutely pieces. And then ate the pieces one by one. And we got beautiful telescopic pictures of the ripping apart. And then as it ate the comet, it left cloud trails, cloud trails in Jupiter. And those cloud trails stayed for several months afterwards, and it was gorgeous. So if you know, by all means, Google the Shoemaker-Levy 9 comet. Hubble Space Telescope, I believe, also took some really pretty pictures as well.
So
cool. The only baseball game Theo ever liked.
Yeah.
Where the baseball got eaten by
That's my kind of baseball game.
Right. It was planetary carnage. We love it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's outstanding.
Can you imagine the commentators and it's at Jupiter and wait, where did the ball go?
Where is it?
Abracadabra, it's gone.
It's a cloud.
Never a home run. Never got home. Never got. But that was the most dynamic thing that we've ever really experienced in that moment in time. And then from then on, it was like, space is way more dynamic than we think. Stuff eats stuff all over the place in space. We are very,
it's like the best soundbite
black holes
ever.
There's stars out there that like to eat each other. Tired man, you would like this. There are zombie stars out there. So I mean, it's things like to eat things in space.
That is amazing.
Yeah. You couldn't ask for better bedtime stories, Theo.
I know.
Once upon a
I'm
time,
gonna have
there
happy dreams
was
of Jupiter eating things. Sorry.
Nom 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 nom.
Happy Jupiter.
Once upon a time, there was this innocent little comet, and it was running.
And Jupiter's like, cooking. Nom 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 nom.
Jupiter's sitting there like, hold my beer.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was my series of questions. Theo, did you have anything else that you wanted to ask?
I mean, honestly, it's almost hard to think of a question to ask because I have so many questions about like space and everything that it entails. So I'm like trying really hard to think of a specific, and for some reason my brain's like, I don't know, just ask everything. Like, well, I need to think of a specific. Oh yeah, ice volcanoes. That was my one task.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thanks, Kyle. I had one job, you guys.
Yeah, so that is actually my main research and my main job at NASA is to research ice volcanoes. So ice volcanoes are weird. You know, there's the tagline for you folks. Ice volcanoes is weird. So we call it cryovolcanism is the technical term. Cryovolcanism started back in the early 90s as just kind of a weird concept idea of like, yeah, these could exist. And then we never did anything with them. It wasn't until like the mid 2000s and then really much until like 2017, 2018, it really picked up. I was actually at a workshop. It was the very first cryovolcanism workshop we've ever had. It was down in Houston. It was myself and like 50 other people. I can't remember if it was 2017 or 2018 at that point, but all in Houston. And we stayed there for a whole week just to figure out what is cryovolcanism. Can we like be think tank mode and go into like the different definitions of cryovolcanism? We left that meeting with more questions than answers. We still did not answer the defining question, what is cryovolcanism, except that it's cold and it's volcanism. Oh, there we go. But now we're realizing that it's way more complicated than we thought, because originally you think, okay, volcanism, if I were to ask you to draw a volcano, you're thinking like nice tall mountain, clouds and fire and doom and you're, at this point I'm describing Mount Doom from Lord of the Rings and
which,
just
yeah
to be like the volcano kind of deal. So adding cryo to it is a bit of an oxymoron, right? Where it's not fire and doom, you have ice and doom.
Still doom,
but I mean, but what kind of ice? How would it even become volcanically active? And what types of volcanism can you have at these icy moons? Turns out there's different kinds. There's different types. So we can do like Ceres, which has more. Ceres is a dwarf planet, asteroid in the asteroid belt. Beautiful asteroid, beautiful dwarf planet, however you want to label it. But cryovolcanism at Ceres is very muddy, very briny. There's a lot of salt to it, and salt really gunks up the work. So it's very gunky at Ceres. Europa and Enceladus, you still have some salt, but you have a lot of water, and water is your best kind of like lubrication system, because you think of all these as like pipes. From the inner, how does it get to the outer point? And it's all buoyant. So you got a lot of water ice involved with a little bit of salt. Okay. But then you get out to Triton, Neptune's largest moon. Triton is also a captured moon, by the way, not a natural satellite of Neptune. Triton used to be where Pluto was, out in the Kuiper Belt, and then it got captured by Neptune. So poor Triton is a long lost cousin of Pluto at this point. But Triton has geysers. We've seen geysers on Triton back in 1989 from the Voyager 2 images, but we just really did not pay attention to beautiful geysers on Triton. We see beautiful geysers on Enceladus, a little bit at Europa. So you got geysers going on, you got possible mountains on Titan and Pluto, with possible different kinds of like cryo lava spilling around the surface as well. Now, when you get spilling around, you think ice is solid. Okay, what in the world could possibly be gooey enough to spill across these surfaces? Turns out the culprit is ammonia. So very much similar to the ammonia we have in our cleaning products here on Earth. Ammonia is very similar to anybody use like sidewalk salt, salt sidewalks and driveways and whatnot during the winter, so that way it's used as a de-icer. Ammonia actually works the same way at Pluto and Titan too, where ammonia salt actually really makes things slushy and gooey enough to make it lava and flow across the surface.
That's crazy. And is that also the culprit for the geyser action? Because I'm like, wrapping my head around like this expelled, liquid situation off of the face of a frozen thing, and it's pressure. It's because we think heat equals. So yeah, fire away on that.
Yeah, no, it's so that's where you have two different kinds of volcanism going on. So the gooey, runny, viscous kind of stuff, that's what's called effusive volcanism. Whereas all the pretty geysers, it's more active. We call that explosive volcanism.
Apt.
So you have explosive and you have effusive. So I love the effusive volcanism. Know what makes the goo. But explosive volcanism, yeah, you would have some sort of pressure, some sort of very, very strong pressure from the inside of the mantles and oceans of like Europa and certainly Enceladus. Enceladus was a very active explosive moon. And it's really bizarre. It's only in the southern part of Enceladus, and we call these the tiger stripes.
Yeah.
There's a more fancier geologic term called sulky, but I don't really like sulky, so we're gonna go.
Not as fancy as tiger.
That doesn't sound nearly as cool.
Yeah,
I tigress
sounds way better. So these tiger stripes. Think of it this way: it's like this very deep chasm, and there's like 4 or 5 of these chasms striped along the southern hemisphere of Enceladus. And what happens is that it's essentially burping, where so much pressure is built up under these tiger stripes that it just builds up and builds up and builds up, and the tiger stripes are actually, and then poof. So they'll actually breathe open for a split moment, and then absolutely burp up all of the geyser hot water vapor up into the air, and then close right back up.
Oh, they're like gills or something. Oh, that's cool.
That's so cool.
But we originally didn't realize that it was water vapor there for a while. We kept seeing this with the Cassini mission. Rest in peace, Cassini. So Cassini was a very wonderful orbiter we had around Saturn, and it would fly by a lot of moons. And it was about to have a really close approach to Enceladus at one point. We're like, oh, this is great, beautiful geology pictures. And the thing about an orbiter, you can't slow it down. And so it's getting right to Enceladus, and then Enceladus explodes into a geyser. The Cassini was going right toward it. We're like, well, Cassini, we thought it was going to melt. We thought it was going to like ruin our instruments. We had no idea what was going on. For all we knew, it was acid. It was like spitting acid. We didn't know what what really it was. And thankfully it sifted right through the geyser, and thankfully it was just water with a little bit of salt. But from that moment, Cassini was able to just kind of like sniff the geyser as it just,
oh wow.
But in sniffing of this geyser, we realized not only was it warm, very hot, warm water, but also it had just the same amount of salt as the Pacific Ocean.
Get out of Dodge.
That's crazy.
Cool. It was so cool. Cassini survived. So woohoo. Cassini's
That
dead
is
now.
amazing.
It survived for the time being.
Time being, it did its job. It lasted many, many years, way beyond than what we expected its lifespan to be. But no, it's been dead for a while. So it was yeah, so rest in peace.
How little we knew you.
And you gave so
how little
much.
I knew you.
Right. Wow.
Now we need another one.
Yeah. Order another one, please.
Yeah.
Today's technology, you'd probably be able to build it better, right?
Yeah, it's called funding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
We totally have technology. We totally don't have the funding.
Well, I was going to ask my question, but I think I'll save it for the next time we bring you on. But let's go ahead and get into show and tell.
Before we do that, my cat has been walking around screaming at me this whole time. So can I please go do something with him really quick? Because he's not going to stop.
You gonna go swing a cat?
I'm going to go place him on my bed and then close the door.
Yes.
Place gently.
While he's gone, I got a quick space cat story.
Yes.
So this was very, very early space age program. So before Apollo, but this was around the time that we were trying to figure out, like, how do we send up animals into space? And we have sent several species of animals up in the however, cats were very quickly taken off the list. The Soviet Union had a cat at one point with what's called a high altitude rocket. So a high altitude rocket, what happens is that it's a horrific roller coaster. But this is how we train our astronauts for low gravity, make sure that they get used to low gravity in a short amount of time before we actually send them up into space. So high altitude rocket goes straight up, and then it kind of spins enough for a couple hours worth, and that's where you experience weightlessness, and then drops right back down. So we call it the vomit comet.
Wow.
That's called it the vomit comet for a reason. But the Soviet Union there for a while tested it with a cat and a dog, several dogs actually. The dogs were great. But the cat was very quickly taken off the list because cats, you ever picked up a cat or you see a cat, just kind of like plop itself off of a table. It wants to land on its feet because in its head, in its orientation, it constantly wants to just put its feet down and land. And it will always orientate itself to land. Well, when you're in low gravity, there's no such thing as orientation anymore. There's no such thing as up and down and all around. You are truly all around. So this poor cat is just wiggling every which way on this poor high altitude rocket. The cat was fine after a while. But
cat hell.
They took it off. Like, oh, don't do this again. The dogs were fine. The dogs had no problem with it whatsoever. If anything, they were just kind of like, okay, sure. The dogs are fantastic though, and that having dogs through the space program, at least with the Soviet Union, lasted all the way through the Kennedy and a little bit into the Nixon era. We had chimpanzees for a while, and now that with this International Space Station, we now want to study more microgravity with certain types of animal species. So we've sent up I believe, 4 or 5 different species of spiders because we wanted to see how their web building would change in microgravity. And those are some fascinating YouTube videos that you can still watch to this day. And you can actually go to certain museums around the world, one being in Denver. Denver still has like the capsule and the remnants of the spider, one of those missions. And they gave names to all the critters as well. So the spiders always came in pairs as well. Now, in the very beginning, when we had Skylab, which was predecessor of the International Space Station, we did have some spiders, and they quickly died because we were dumb enough to go, oh, we forgot to feed them. We forgot to feed them. So it was like, oh yeah, that's a problem. We'll remember next time. And now we regularly feed them like fruit flies, and we give them like moisture in their like little enclosures and stuff. My favorite though are the mice. We flew mice to go around the moon and then sent them back to Earth. They survived, everything's fine. But their names were Fee, Fi, Fo, Fum, and Fooey.
Aww.
So there's some fun animal species for you though. We have also sent up turtles as well, but I don't remember the turtle name.
Aww. So did Fee, Fi, Fum, Fo, O, and Fooey, did they, when they came back, what was their physical reaction to having been around the moon? Did they have like radiation? What was the amazing?
Yeah, they were totally fine. And it turns out because they weren't in space that long, they were very, very quick zip around the moon and come right back. So
there's a quick zip around the moon and back.
No big deal.
Lucky little mice. No, so they didn't feel like any adverse effects whatsoever. They were fine. They were absolutely.
Because I think I'm sorry. Yeah, you told a story last time about some of the astronauts having been in space long enough to get pitting in their bones.
Yes.
And that, like, I think that gave me a few nightmares.
Sorry about that. I may have gotten nightmares from that past story.
Ain't that the pits?
Dad. Hey. Sorry. Go ahead, Caitlin.
Yeah, show and tell.
Yeah.
Oh, who's starting?
I was like, story time.
No, we'll start with you, Caitlin.
Oh, okay. So my show and tell is a lovely 3D printed Mars globe, which you can still get on Etsy from a dear friend of mine named Corbin. So he 3D prints different planets and asteroids. I think he's going to be making Christmas ornaments, 3D printed planet Christmas ornaments soon. So
I want one.
Right.
That is awesome.
I need.
And there's the 3 Tharsis volcanoes, and there's Olympus Mons. Obviously, elevation is drastically changed for the purpose of 3D printing, but lovely carrot orange color, which I love orange. So
that is super awesome. I love that it's anatomically correct, except for it's a little bit exaggerated.
A little exaggerated. It's fine.
Did you have anything else for show and tell? I can't talk today.
I know, words are hard, man.
They are.
For those who are Pluto lovers, the latest Pluto textbook has been released from Arizona, or University of Arizona Press. So it's quite a thick boy. But Pluto System After New Horizons, all the pretty pictures, and I have co-authored a chapter as well.
Nice.
So you can flip through the many weird pages. It is definitely not a for terribly general public because it is pure research though. But if you love pretty research pictures and all the cool research that's been done from New Horizons, you can get the book. It's also available, I think, on ebook as well.
Beautiful. Awesome.
Yeah, send me a picture of the
cool.
Yeah, send me a picture of the front of the book too, and I'll
Add
add it in. Yeah. So, Karen, what do you got for show and tell?
Well, this dude came to the beach and he dropped this piece of petrified wood on me, and his name was Kyle. And
oh yeah, that's right.
And it was a mystery piece of petrified wood. He had some really cool shots of another bit of this that you did some polishing on. Is that correct? That
It's on my shelf right behind me.
right over there.
One of the many.
Yeah, go ahead. You can see it.
I'll put it in right here so you can see a picture of that one.
Yeah, we better throw that up. And so he was so kind to bring me a sample of it by request, so that maybe, just maybe, I can delve into it as I'm going through the petrified wood identification process and come up with something for this guy too. And so we have a picture of it that is actually backlit in the microscope at 100. And you can see the grain lines. I have to prepare a thin slice or a thin section for it. This is actually just a piece through the microscope, so you don't get like the same kind of fidelity as if you prepare a slide for it. But I thought it was kind of neat because it looks like something celestial. So I thought it was appropriate for our conversation tonight, but it's got some really nice linear cell structure. You can start kind of telling what you're looking at. And so a step closer to understanding exactly what wood this is. The second and third
Aspen?
are, yeah.
I'm going to keep asking.
Shrubbery.
Me.
Yeah.
And we'll call him Roger.
Yes. And,
Roger, the shrubber.
As we digress, the second and third slides are Darkfield. So it's the same wood, but instead of being backlit, you're getting a front lighting so that you can see the grain structure in a different way. And it's wildly curvaceous. And so we've got a grain that likes to do, some curves and tricks. And so that's, again, I'm not sure. I'm sorry, Theo, that Aspen does that. So
I don't think it does.
Being a wood guy.
One day. One day we'll get there.
Right. And so that actually brings us a little bit closer to the identification. You can see a 100x and a 250x. And then the last picture is a picture of the, so you have three ways of taking a picture of petrified wood for magnification. And if you can slice a piece of wood at, like, if you're imagining, across its section so that you're making a donut of wood, that cross section is the cross section, right? You have a radial view and the transverse view, and then the tangential view. And so we actually have the radial, or rather the cross section view in the last slide, and it looks like a Gustav Klimt painting. So yeah. And so like maybe a little bit of inspiration for the kiss. It's so strange. And so I wanted to include that just because it was aesthetic as all get out. But again, giving us a little bit more information towards the cracking of the mystery. And like, Theo's gonna let it ride on Aspen. So when we're done with this game, we'll see if he's correct.
That's when you finally get to stop. The job does not end until we finally acquire petrified aspen.
Okay.
Which I have no idea how old aspens are as a species, so we may never actually get that.
We're gonna have to keep the podcast going until I can handle that one.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Or I could just do some homework.
Olympic torch,
Yeah. Or I could just do some simple homework and find out, like, how old aspen are to see if it's actually realistic or not. I will have those results to report back next time. during the next podcast.
All right.
Because I'm doing that. I need to know now. The joke has been running long enough that I want to know if it's like actually a thing.
Excellent. All right. So that's my show and tell. I was thank you so much, Kyle, for the generous offer for the specimen and letting me work on that piece of wood.
Welcome.
And so yeah. Theo, how about you?
Well, for starters, I was hoping to have this done by now, but it's going slower than I was planning on. I was gonna whittle a rocket, but I haven't gotten.
I could hear you in the background like a.
yeah. I had to grab out my shaver, and it's going faster now. But yeah, I think I've made some good progress. But...
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this was raw an hour ago.
I definitely want to see a picture of it when you're done.
No problem. So for my show and tell that I didn't produce within the last like 45 minutes, anyway, would be I brought 3 specimens from the trip, South Dakota trip. So 3 videos coming from that trip, 4, because we're gonna cut stuff. But anyway, 4 hunts or 3. What am I need to go to bed. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. Theo's leaving. It's bedtime. No, 3 videos are going to be hunts, and then the 4th video is going to be cutting rocks. So I brought 1 rock from each hunt. So to start, we've got this awesome thing that I was describing earlier, and it's a very cool thing that happens in the Black Hills, and that's tourmaline will form, black tourmaline, and very, very, very rarely green tourmaline will form inside of the pegmatite that is usually mostly feldspar and rose quartz. There's some garnet schist too, but so yeah, you can actually get like hot pink rose quartz that has these big perfect black crystals growing through them, and it's the coolest thing ever. Right? This one isn't quite that incredible, but it's still awesome. You can see how shiny that I just got it to flash. Where is it? Come on.
Yeah.
Trying to get it to flash again for you guys. Oh, maybe.
Almost.
There
it is.
That little tourmaline crystal right there has its perfect natural facets.
Yeah, there we go.
And the color doesn't show up very well, but this is actually a piece of rose quartz. And if you flip it over, this side's a little more weathered, but every one of those little black marks is actually the cross section of a tourmaline crystal.
Wow.
And we found a bunch of these, actually. Some really, really nice ones, too. So I'm excited to show you all that one. Then on the next day, we went out to the Badlands and hunted for a bunch of prairie agates and fossils and chalcedony. And this chalcedony is so cool. I love it so much.
Hello.
So it forms in like seams. Where's a good example? Like that. They'll have like a top plate and a bottom plate, and then there'll be little vugs in those seams. And they just form these amazing bubbly, ripply patterns that sometimes erode away from the 2 plates. And then you get chalcedony roses. And pretty much every single one we found is coated in druzy. Like, I doubt it's going to show at all. The sparkle is probably not going to come up, but they're so cool. Sorry, what?
So it sounds so pretty and sparkly.
They're so cool. I love them so much. And they're everywhere. Like, if you really, really like the stuff, you can go home with a full pocket in like 3 minutes.
Wow.
And then lastly would be probably my favorite from the whole trip, and that's Teepee Canyon agate, which is some incredible stuff. If you don't know what Teepee Canyon agates are, they are red, pink, white, and orange fortification agates.
Ooh.
And they're beautiful, and they're not technically, but the best way to describe them is they look just like fairbirds. So I brought an example with here. We'll have to send Caitlin a picture because I doubt she's going to be able to see.
Yeah, it is flat amazing in real life. The camera is not doing it any kind of justice.
It is not. Like, they're so amazing. They're phenomenal. We found a bunch, and 2 of which I can't wait to show you guys the video. Like, I can't say too much because it's like a seriously big deal. Oh, and I meant to bring something else for show and tell. We actually went into the Museum of Geology in Rapid City which is on campus at the college there. And I saw some awesome stuff. I took a picture. Is it Onatite or Autonite? It's like, I know Jared. There's Jared's,
right,
required,
his compulsory,
yeah, mentioned every video. He loves the stuff.
Video.
He sent me some pictures of some little some crystals that he found. They're super cool. Well, in that museum, they had literally like a block the size of a car tire, just covered in crystals. So I took a picture of it to show him. I need to send it to him.
Next week, you can go ahead and indulge him in that.
I will. Yeah. He'll appreciate that. But anyway, after we were done going through the whole museum, we went into the gift shop where they had a book about like the geological distribution and formation and like all sorts of cool stuff about Fairburn agates. So I wanted to get that because I wanted to do some research on Fairburn agates. Get back into the car and open the book, and the author signed it.
That's cool.
Right?
Oh, that's so neat.
So, yeah, I was so excited about that. So, he probably walked through that, saw his own book in there, and was like, oh, I'll sign it while I'm here. That was so cool to find that.
Oh, Theo, I know you're coming soon.
I know you'll need this. So it was like a book that I actually really needed anyway. But yeah, that autograph on top was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I wonder if like some authors just do that for giggles. Just like, oh, hey, that's my book.
There's a couple. Yeah, no, totally. Like, there's actually a couple of books that Alexis and I are super into, and we follow the authors on Instagram. And he does. Whenever he goes into airports, he'll go into the airport and find his book and autograph all of them. And it's like, I just need to know where that is because I would die for one of those.
Oh my gosh, that's like a YouTube channel right there. Like to, go and find autographed copies of people's work. Okay, so how much of a schmuck are you if you like go and sign one?
I mean, honestly, I think it's awesome.
Signings. No, I mean, like, you're just me and you like go and find somebody else's book. Oh no! I know,
just
like
faking autographs.
Yeah, I had a guest book in the gallery that I used to have, and I have some celebrity autographs, and I'm just wondering, like, okay, so was it some schmuck, or did this person actually come through the gallery? Which is totally possible because a lot of times you don't recognize, and like if they don't have an entourage and if they don't have their makeup on or what have you, and like at the end of the day, I for giggles, I'd go through my, guest book and just see, or a reception where it was super busy and I didn't get to talk to everybody. Yeah. I've got several, celebrity autographs, and I'm just like, did somebody get really toasted at the reception?
Like, oh, let's mess with her.
Yeah. Arnold Schwarzenegger, was here.
Oh my god. I totally obsessed with autographs as a kid, and I actually have an autograph letter from John Williams.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I used to play trumpet and started at a young age, and I think I was in like 6th or 7th grade. I just wrote him a letter saying like, I played the trumpet and stuff like that, and he wrote back and gave me an autograph, and it was just like, oh cool.
That is so cool.
Back at that letter, I'm like, I was such a dork. What in the world? He was so sweet to answer back.
That's awesome.
That is pretty cool. I don't have any cool stories like that.
Yeah.
I think
I only have one autograph.
I mean, I wouldn't even call it an autograph. I'd the voice actor that plays Shio Gorath and some of the other gaming characters there for Skyrim. He has a TikTok account, and like he did a video, and I let the comments like, yeah, I think Shio Gorath is probably like the best gaming character, or like the best character in video games, in my opinion, that there is.
Dude,
and,
yes.
And he liked my comment. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
That is super awesome. Dude, that's awesome. That makes me so happy.
Cheese for everyone.
Because, yes. Shukorth is like the best part of the entire Elder Scrolls series.
Pretty much. I think we can all relate to him sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But I guess that brings me to my show and tell. So, like Karen said, we met up on the beach, and I didn't record anything the day we went out there, and we were looking for rocks and just kind of hung out. It was also River's first time at the beach, so she got very sandy. Sand everywhere on a kid.
Oh yeah.
And so we're looking for rocks, and Karen found a couple of these pectins, and I decided to crack them open, and I did a video on it, and it turned out pretty cool.
Ew.
And they're a pretty nice clean break. I don't know what happened to the other
Those
one.
never get old, man. They are so cool.
I mean, you guys know how I am about shells, so.
They have nacre too.
Somehow this one broke. And
That is my automatic response to hearing about nacre. I can't help it. Oh, what?
They're beautiful, Kyle.
Yeah, but yeah,
the grunt means good. Good.
Yeah. It's a happy grunt.
But yeah, this one broke somehow, and I don't know how it broke. I mean, aside from me like tapping on a hammer with it, but I came into the garage and there was just a crack formed on this one. I'm like, oh man, I don't know what happened there. But I thought that was really cool, and I broke open a bigger concretion. I was not going to bring that in with me because that's like
huge.
Yeah, holding that up. But it was pretty cool. So if you guys want to check out that one, just go check out the video that I did. And then so that's kind of my show and tell. It's a couple of pectins that Karen gave me, which I got to break open. There's a couple more box of fossils that Karen gave me that I'll have to delve into and see what they.
That I don't know what they are, because like the pectins are easy, and I gave them to him. Like you can find them on the beach, and you can see the ridge around. Like they look like a cookie, and so yes, breaky good. And so I was like, hey, here's a pectin. Hey, here's a pectin. And yet the other ones that I put in that box are mysteries, like the one that you had eyeballed in that one video. Like we just don't know what's in there, so that'll be kind of fun. That never gets old. When you I was sitting there like a kid watching your video, like like some here, but no, it was more exciting to watch Kyle open his.
I think the next time I find, or even if you find one, I think the next one you should crack open. I'll bring the hammers. I'll bring the hammer and chisel. I'll record, and I'll give you the memory card so you can post on your channel, and then that'll be the crab that you find.
Oh, I know. See, so ladies and gentlemen, this like flying saucer of a concretion looked like it could really contain some juicy bits. And we're gonna have to let you look at the video to exactly get what the contents were. We're still looking for a crab, though. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, that's gonna happen. We're gonna have to hit the beaches hard this winter.
That's one thing I don't have in my collection. I don't have a fossilized crab. It's on my list. I have a Australian mangrove lobster. I have fossil shrimp.
The Australian mangrove lobster.
Yeah.
No crab.
I mean, isn't that cool? Comparable? I don't have any of those.
I think I have a crayfish, a very small like shrimp or crayfish, but I got no lobster, not a literal rock lobster. I mean, yeah, right. Yeah.
But that wraps up my show and tell, and let's go ahead and move into words of wisdom.
I wish I had a picture just now of the look that I just got from my wonderful spouse when she came out here, saw me in my headphone talking to you all, scraping away on this piece of wood. I wish I had a picture I could show you all, because the look was, what the heck are you doing? I know, I'm going to need like Alexis cam.
You can immortalize that look while you whittle it into the wood.
Yeah. Just carve that.
She's in the rocket. Yeah.
Just looking confused.
Aw, that's sweet.
I mean, she knows me enough to know that not, this is a normal everyday thing for her. I do really dumb crap all the time. Like carving while on podcasts. So I mean,
Sure,
there's nothing she hasn't, gotten used to at this point. She just screams from down the hallway. That's so true.
Nice.
So Caitlin, what kind of words of wisdom do you have for us today?
Oh,
Catching off guard.
yeah.
We can always come back to you too to give you a second to think about it.
How do you talk about space ahead of time? You plan it.
Ah! Yes.
Oh,
The joke of the week.
Go.
that was a good one. That was a good one.
She's raising the bar.
Slowly. Tiny bar.
Awesome.
Karen, what kind of words of wisdom do you got?
Okay. So be careful what you wish for is one to be aware of. So, oh man, we were so excited to be getting a rockhound, and I was like, in my heart of hearts, like, let's make this Ochiko a rockhound like Lily, like really game to go out and find rocks and last a whole day out with us hounding and just be happy to be there. I mean, okay, like you guys can all attest that Lily might bark too much on my videos, but like other than that, she's a good rockhound, and we were hoping the same for Ochiko. And well, he is being potty trained right now. And so we do have accidents, and we have hardwood floors. And so he was busy having an accident, and it's one of the best times to catch a dog is while they're having the accident, so that you can make sure to like, hey, this is what you're supposed to be doing instead, except for that it was going clink, clink, clink.
In that little bag still.
And
in the carry-on.
It's in a little bag. And so I was like, what in the world could possibly be going clink clink in little Ochiko's situation on the floor in the hardwood? And so, I whisked him away, and we went outside, and like, this is how you do it, and this is where you're supposed to go. And I went upstairs to dispose of what was there, and there was an agate and a sunstone. I'm not entirely sure what else, but I think that Ochiko got it wrong, like kind of like the Mars rover, like that you eat them.
Dude, he took Rockhound really literally
to the next level. I couldn't be mad.
You're like, I'm halfway between frustrated and so proud.
Yeah.
This is a rock tumbler.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So be careful what you wish for. That's all I'm gonna say on that one.
Because you may wind up with a dog that needs gastroliths.
Yeah. At least they do come out a little shinier. So.
So would you say your dog is now a Labradorite?
Oh wow, we've like got like
it's after
some scores going on here. Like,
game over.
I mean,
dude, the fun radar is going crazy, and I love it.
I mean, technically, yeah.
That's awesome.
Really quick before we I've made a mess on my table.
Yes.
There's wood shavings like everywhere.
Is that your system there? Wood shavings.
Yeah. Wood shavings all over the place. Wood shavings. Oh, are we on me?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought. Oh, Yes, there's wood shavings on my table. That is my words of wisdom this week.
May there be wood shavings on yours as well.
May there be many a wood shaving upon your dining. Anyway, though, I think my words of wisdom would be just remember to step out of your comfort zone regularly. Because, I'm so used to my Montana fossil hunting and my Yellowstone River rock hunting and my Bear Canyon digging, I think, are my three main ones. Those are like my wheelhouses. I'm good at those. Looking for pegmatites is a very, very, very foreign territory for me. And it was so much fun going out and doing a type of rock hounding that I don't really have much experience in, because everything you find is so exciting. And the moment you actually find something good, it's like, oh, this is awesome. So it makes it that much better when you actually do find good stuff. But it's awesome just feeling clueless sometimes, I love it, honestly, because it's a very like physical, tangible reminder that there's always so much more that you could be learning. I think if you stay inside your wheelhouse too much, I think you lose sight of the fact that, there's a whole lot more to learn out there.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I've always joked about if I were to rock hound in a different state that I haven't been to, I want to make sure that I include the joke from Lord of the Rings. If I take one more step, it's the farthest from home I've ever been.
You better link that video in the description.
I have to.
The one I was telling you about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. For those of you that don't know, I can't remember if I mentioned this to you guys while we weren't recording or not, but for everyone else, there's a guy on the internet who's an absolute madman. And every single time Sam takes a step, it cuts back to that scene of him saying one more step. And this is the farthest I've ever been from home. It's 14 hours.
Oh.
And the funny thing about that is it actually gets funnier. Obviously I haven't watched the whole thing. You kind of just skim through the whole thing, but it really gets funnier the longer it goes on. It's
got timestamps.
Yeah, it's honestly absurd, and I love it so much. It's so dumb, and the whole time you're watching, it's like, dude, okay, I edit videos, so I know how much work went into this. This was probably a week of someone's life just for this stupid joke, and I 100% back that.
Love copy and paste.
Yeah. I love it so much.
Yeah,
link in description.
Yeah. I'll be sure to remember that. But I think my words of wisdom, today I didn't really think about it beforehand, but if you have something that you want to do with your life as far as a dream or a hobby, make it happen. Even if you have to spend a little bit extra time of planning it so you can do it, and so you could be happy with what you're doing with your life. Because I think I mentioned this before, not everyone is happy doing the classic 9 to 5. That's just a given. I mean, no one really likes their normal corporate jobs, per se. Anyway, I'm saying. So if you have something that you have an interest in and you think that can be profitable, but still be happy doing it, figure out a way to do it. That's my words of wisdom.
I would like to add to that and say that there's that big saying that's if you love something, don't turn it into a job. And I don't know. I disagree wholeheartedly, because that's literally what I did. And I have never had a day at work that actually felt like a day of work, I've had several other jobs and none of them feel like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like work. You're just going to play around with more stuff. And yes, there's work stuff involved, but if you're doing what you love, it doesn't feel like a chore.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get a little irritated every time I hear that expression, because it's like that's what I've been doing for 6 years now, and I love it so much.
It works. Yes.
Yes. It depends on the hobby, I think, because I think some things that would be a different story.
Yeah.
But we know a person who knits, and they tried to do sell clothing, and it's I could see when you have quotas and stuff to meet, and it's all based on how fast you can hit. I could see how you would hate that after a certain amount of time, but rock stuff is so much fun.
Oh, rock and art, like
yeah,
you're being expressive with creativity, and the clientele is completely different. Everyone almost everyone is literally down to earth, just like chill.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, that's my words of wisdom. But if you guys are okay with it, we can go ahead and start wrapping things up. If Karen, you want to take us out. Caitlin, thank you so much for coming back. We definitely want to have you back on because I want to ask you about your opinion on and stuff about flat Earth people, and maybe events.
You need to learn about the firmament.
Yeah, so we'll do that for next time. So we'll leave that as like an open book. So when you come back, we can talk about that then.
So Caitlin, do you have some parting words for us before I wrap?
Keep looking up. Keep looking down at the rocks too, but keep looking because there's rocks in space too.
One eye down.
That might be a little difficult.
but I like it. It feels like a Buddhist cone or something like that. Like this is your challenge, like like one hand clapping or whatever.
Rocks below, rocks above. You're in the middle.
You go. Yeah, well, thank you so much for coming on again, and we'd love to have you on again. Like, Kyle left a literal, cosmic cliffhanger there.
I wanted to ask that question, but I'm like, no, I think I want to save it. I want to save that one because, yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell my deep impact story.
Ooh, and we have a deep impact story as well. So, I mean, we definitely need to have you come back when your season is calm, whenever that is. And sounds like that doesn't happen. Maybe.
Unfortunately, it's probably going to be toward like fall, winter though. But I'll certainly have more stories at the ready by then.
Awesome.
Anyways, so we'll make it happen.
Perfect.
It is a joy every time.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me on again, and I really can't wait to be on next time. And yeah, anybody out there listening in, please post questions. Keep asking questions. Happy to answer.
Perfect. And again, if you're out there listening from the, any of the planets or what have you, leave it in the comments where you're listening from. And if you've got a show and tell that you want to share with us, hit us up on the email that is in the description. And you guys all know what to do. Like, keep finding and keep creating. And thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time.
I'll have the rocket done next time.
Keep whittling.
Yeah.